Night was impossibly quiet. Even the snow seemed to hold its breath. I drove alone on the empty Christmas road, headlights cutting thin slices through the pale moonlight. Every mile felt longer, the trees leaning in closer with every turn, their skeletal branches scratching at the sky like waiting fingers. I thought I was imagining it at first, the feeling of eyes watching, of movement just beyond sight, but then I saw them. Footprints. Bare, deliberate, crossing the asphalt from one dark forest edge to the other. No tracks led to a house or a town. They had no beginning. They had no end. My pulse quickened. The radio hissed with static, failing to produce even the faintest music. My phone lay dead in the cup holder, as if the night itself had swallowed all connection to the world. And then a figure appeared. Not moving like a human, but somehow present, standing in the middle of the road, just far enough to be caught in the headlights. Pale, faceless, silent. Its presence pressed against me, a weight heavier than snow, heavier than the dark itself. I slammed the brakes instinctively, the car groaning against the icy asphalt. For a moment, neither of us moved. The wind fell still. The world narrowed to the space between me and the figure. Then it spoke, not loudly, but a whisper that cut through the stillness. "You shouldn't be on this road tonight." I froze. Every instinct screamed to drive, to run, to vanish into the black road behind me. But the road ahead felt alive, as if it had been waiting. Waiting for me. Waiting for this moment. And in that instant I realized, whatever I had stumbled into, I was no longer alone. By the time I reached the highway, Christmas had already ended. That was the strange part. Not officially, clocks still said December 25th, but the world felt emptied of it. No lights. No music. No drunk laughter spilling from houses. Just a black ribbon of road cutting through fields buried under weak moonlight. The kind of road people forget exists until they're already lost on it. I told myself I was tired. That exhaustion had a way of hollowing things out. The car heater hummed like it was struggling to breathe. My phone sat face down in the cup holder. Dead hours ago. I hadn't planned on driving this late, but plans dissolve on Christmas. Someone always leaves early. Someone always stays too long. By the time I hugged my mother goodbye, the snow had started again. Thin, hesitant flakes, like the sky wasn't sure it wanted to commit. The road sign behind me vanished into darkness. No other cars. No headlights. No distant glow of a town ahead. Just me, the engine, and the steady whisper of tires against asphalt. I noticed the silence first. Not the normal quiet of a rural highway. That kind still carries wind, insects, faraway dogs. This silence felt sealed. Pressurized. Like the road had swallowed sound whole and was waiting to see if I'd notice. I turned the radio on. Static. I twisted the knob. AM. FM. Nothing but the same dead hiss, thick and heavy, like it was closer than it should be. I turned it off again quickly, unsettled by how loud the silence rushed back in. That's when I saw the footprints. They crossed the road at an angle, half buried in snow, heading from the trees on one side to the trees on the other. Bare footprints. Too clear. Too deliberate. Each step evenly spaced, as if whoever made them wasn't cold at all. I slowed down. People do that thing where they justify what they see instead of accepting it. I told myself someone had wandered off drunk. A shortcut between houses. A prank. Anything that didn't require stopping. I drove on. The road dipped slightly, bending through a stretch of forest where the trees leaned inward, their branches forming a loose tunnel overhead. Snow gathered on them in thick, sagging clumps. Every few seconds, one would fall and explode softly on the ground, like something shifting its weight just out of sight. That was when the feeling started. The unmistakable pressure of being watched. Not from behind. Not from the trees. From the road itself. I checked the rearview mirror. Empty. Just darkness folding over itself. My own face floated back at me, pale and tight-eyed, lit by the dashboard glow. I looked older like that. Hollowed. I swallowed and forced a breath. "Get home," I muttered, more to the road than myself. The car clock flickered. 12:17 a.m. Then it blinked. 12:17 a.m. Again. I tapped the screen. It didn't change. That should have bothered me more than it did. Instead, a numb calm settled over me, like the part of my brain that handles fear had stepped out for air. A shape appeared ahead. At first, I thought it was a fallen tree branch dragged across the road. Then headlights touched it fully, and my foot hit the brake without me thinking. A man stood in the middle of the highway. He wasn't waving, wasn't panicking, just standing there, facing my car, arms hanging loose at his sides. He wore a dark coat dusted with snow, head bowed slightly, as if listening to something beneath the pavement. I stopped a few meters away. My heart hammered so hard it felt visible. He didn't look up. I rolled the window down an inch. Cold air spilled in, sharp and immediate. "Hey," I called. My voice sounded wrong out here. Too loud, too fragile. "You okay?" The man lifted his head slowly. His face was wrong. Not disfigured. Just empty in a way that didn't belong on a living person. His eyes reflected the headlights without blinking, glassy and fixed, like mirrors pointed inward. He took one step closer. Then another. Every instinct screamed to drive, to hit the gas and never look back. But something held me there, rooted in the seat, watching him approach like it was already decided. He stopped just short of the hood. Snow fell between us. For a long moment, neither of us moved. Then he leaned forward slightly and spoke. "You shouldn't be on this road tonight." That was all. No explanation. No emotion. Before I could answer, before I could even react, the engine died. The dashboard lights went black. Headlights vanished. The road swallowed everything. In the sudden darkness, I heard something move, slow, deliberate footsteps circling the car. And then, from somewhere deep in the trees, a second voice whispered my name. The darkness outside the car was no longer just night. It felt alive. The snow muffled the world, but the air itself seemed thick, as if breathing had weight. My hands rested on the steering wheel, gripping, not gripping, I couldn't tell. The man, whatever he was, had vanished, but the echo of his warning lingered, vibrating through the metal of the car, rattling the bones in my chest. I turned the key. Nothing. The engine refused. The dashboard remained dark. My phone, still dead, offered no comfort. The roads behind me stretched into black nothingness, and ahead, the asphalt curved like a river with no shore. The forest leaned closer, branches scratching lightly against the car roof. I leaned back, heart hammering. Rational thought tried to claw its way through the creeping dread. Maybe he was a hallucination. Fatigue, snow, the stress of Christmas travels. That's all it could be. But deep down, I knew I wasn't imagining the cold weight of those words. "You shouldn't be on this road tonight." I was about to call for help when I heard it, a shuffle from the trees. Not wind, not snow falling. Something deliberate. Steps moving closer. Short, cautious. I froze. A shadow emerged at the edge of the dim moonlight. Not the man from before. This figure was smaller, hunched slightly, and moving strangely, almost gliding. When it stopped, I could see it clearly. Thin, ragged coat, face hidden under a hood. A whispered voice floated through the dark. "You shouldn't be here." The words were soft but sharpened with menace. I swallowed, my throat dry. "Who's there?" I demanded. My own voice sounded alien. Too loud. Too fragile. No answer. Then a laugh, dry and brittle, as if cracking from age or effort, echoed through the snow. Not behind me, not ahead, everywhere. The laugh turned into a whisper, growing louder and softer at the same time, circling. I slammed the door shut and locked it, fumbling with keys that seemed heavier than usual. But the sense of being watched didn't leave. I felt it pressing through the metal, into the seat, into my skin. Something tapped on the window. Just once. Then again. A hand. I didn't want to look. I forced myself. Nothing. Nothing but shadows stretching across the snow, dancing in rhythm with some unseen force. I remembered stories my father had told me as a kid. Dark roads. Strange people. things that lurked in the white quiet. He'd call them lost souls, but he never really explained. Just warnings. Always warnings. He'd said, "Some roads, they take what you bring with you." At the time I thought he meant fear. Now I wasn't so sure. Memories bled together. My grandfather's old journal with pages torn, the faded photograph of a man standing alone in snow, face obscured. Stories about disappearances on empty roads, about travelers vanishing, found only weeks later, frozen in impossible positions, eyes wide with terror. And now here I was. Alone. The engine dead. The night stretching like a black mouth ready to swallow. I tried the car again. Nothing. The battery was dead. That made sense, maybe, but nothing on this night made sense anymore. I stepped out, my boots crunching softly in the snow. The air was bitter, sharper than normal winter cold. My eyes darted across the road. Footprints. Fresh, bare, leading from the trees to the asphalt. Too deliberate again. I remembered them from earlier. And now they circled. I swallowed. Something brushed past me. Just a whisper of movement. I spun around, empty. But the car was different. Not physically, but in perception. Shadows seemed denser, the snow darker, the cold closer, more biting. I realized I hadn't been afraid until now. I had been observed. Now I was being hunted. I whispered, almost to myself, "Stay calm. Just stay calm." The words sounded weak even to me. From somewhere up the road, a door slammed. Not a house. No structure in sight. Just the road. The sound ricocheted, unnaturally. Snowflakes lifted, swirled around as if disturbed by a hidden wind. Then a voice. From nowhere, yet everywhere. "Why are you here?" I got back into the car, shaking, breathing hard. Eyes darted to the rearview mirror. The road behind, empty. And then, not empty. A shadow flickered past. Just for a second. Or was it a trick of my eyes? I touched the dashboard. It was warm. Not from the engine, there was none. Warm, almost pulsing. I jerked my hand back. My own reflection stared at me, hollow-eyed, as if I'd been someone else for years. The radio clicked on by itself. Static. And then a voice, low, scratching like it came from beneath the snow. "Turn back, or you will not leave." I tried to speak. Words stuck in my throat. The steering wheel rattled. The air grew thick, pressing against my lungs. Every instinct screamed, drive, run, leave, but my legs refused. It was like gravity had turned, pulling me into the night instead. Hours, maybe minutes, passed. Time seemed irrelevant. Then a car appeared far ahead, headlights weak and flickering. Relief surged. Another human. I drove toward it, desperate. It stopped. A man emerged. Old, bent, eyes sharp, glinting in the dim light. "You shouldn't be here," he croaked. I need help," I stammered. "Car dead." "No," he interrupted, hand raised. "No one leaves this road tonight. Not if you've come too far." "Why? What is this place?" The old man's eyes flickered toward the forest. "It's always been this way. Roads like this. They keep secrets. They feed. They remember." I swallowed hard. "Feed? Remember what?" "Fear," he said. "And the ones foolish enough to carry it in." I turned my gaze back to the road. Small things were happening. Impossible in the snow, yet undeniable. A branch shifted, brushing across the road, then snapping in half, without wind. Snow-covered stones rolled slightly, as if pushed by invisible hands. Footprints circled the car again, appearing and disappearing. I didn't notice my own reflection twisting in the windows until it spoke, whispering my name. Hours seemed to pass in a breath. Voices, soft at first, then louder, emerged from the shadows. Whispers. Fragmented sentences, screams, names. My own. Others I didn't know. Questions I could not answer. "Do you see? Why do you stay? Leave, leave, leave." The whispers clawed at the edges of my sanity. I felt myself teetering. My own thoughts no longer felt mine. Fear, panic, suspicion blended into one long, endless sensation. Memories of the family cabin flashed in my mind. Distant Christmases, laughter fading, arguments, old legends. Grandpa's stories of travelers disappearing. Ghostly figures that haunted winter roads, roads that punished curiosity. He always said, "Never travel empty roads alone on Christmas night. They remember. They never forgive." I tried to laugh it off. Tried to call myself ridiculous. Yet each sound, footsteps, whispers, wind, echoed as if mocking me. Then I saw it again. Not the old man. Not the first shadow. Something deeper. A form stepping onto the road from the trees. Tall, indistinct, featureless. Only its eyes shone. 2 points of white, glaring in the darkness. It moved without sound, but the snow beneath seemed to shift in anticipation. My heart froze. I couldn't breathe. "Hello," I whispered. The word sounded desperate, too human. It tilted its head. Did it smile? There was no mouth, but I felt a grin. A sense of satisfaction, amusement at my presence, at my fear. I wanted to move. I wanted to run. My legs refused. My mind refused. It was as if the road had claimed me before I arrived, and all my choices were only shadows of free will. The old caretaker's words returned, clearer, heavier. Roads like this, they remember fear. They feed. They never forget. Every traveler leaves something behind. Every traveler carries something they wish they hadn't. The road takes it. Slowly. Painfully. Always. I realized then that the whispers, the shadows, the moving objects, they weren't random. They were recordings, echoes of the road itself. A memory of all the fear it had devoured over decades. Every scream, every name, every panic-stricken heartbeat had left a trace. And now it was mine. The night stretched, infinite. I saw shapes moving just at the edge of perception, sometimes in mirrors, sometimes in reflections in the snow. Every time I blinked, the distance to the shadows shortened. Every time I exhaled, the cold burned deeper. I spoke aloud, trying to convince myself, "I'm imagining it. I'm imagining it." But then a hand rested on the car roof. I froze. Not a shadow. Not a reflection. Real. Cold. Pressed down. A whisper right by my ear, harsh and close. "You're too late." By now, I no longer expected help. No headlights, no towns, no living being could save me. The road had grown into a living thing, watching, remembering, feeding. Every heartbeat, every thought, every memory of fear had been catalogued. And I, foolish, tired, lonely, had arrived at its perfect time. The road didn't just wait for travelers. It claimed them, piece by piece, until they were unrecognizable to the world they'd left behind. Footsteps circled again. Slow. Methodical, patient, closer, closer. I knew then that no explanation would come. No rescue. No sudden clarity. Only the road. Only the fear. Only the inevitability. The road had changed. I knew it now, not in thought but in bone-deep understanding. The snow wasn't snow anymore. It was a veil. The asphalt wasn't asphalt. It was a throat, dark and patient. Every sound, every shadow, every whisper had a purpose. To wear me down, to pull me in, to remind me that the road was older than memory, older than fear, and utterly indifferent to me. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles burned. The car remained dead, a husk of metal swallowed by black and white, by snow and shadow. Every instinct screamed to leave, to run, to turn back, but I knew that was impossible. The road didn't allow it. Not tonight. A shape emerged ahead. At first, I thought it was a trick of the headlights, the faint glow that my eyes strained to produce, flickering like a dying heartbeat. But it moved with deliberate purpose, gliding closer, unhurried, consuming the distance in a way that made no sense. The figure was tall, elongated, its face a hollow void save for 2 pinpricks of light where eyes should be. I forced myself to speak, voice shaking. "Who, what are you?" The figure tilted its head, and a low, resonant hum began to vibrate through the air. Not sound exactly. More like pressure in the chest, a resonance in the bones. And then a voice, layered, impossible, coming from everywhere at once. "You shouldn't have come." The car shuddered. I felt it first in my seat, then in my chest, as if the road itself exhaled beneath me. Snow whipped sideways, though no wind blew. Branches struck the car roof and hood, not randomly, but in rhythm. The rhythm of something alive, something measuring me. I stepped out. I had to. Staying inside was no protection. If the road wanted me, it would take me regardless. My boots sank into snow deeper than they should have, dragging as if resisting motion. Footprints appeared in front of me, fresh, bare, circling, leading me forward. Ahead, the figure waited. Still, patient. Hunger glimmered in its absent face. I could feel it pressing into my mind, drawing out fear, amplifying it, bending it until it was unrecognizable. Psychological collapse. I tried to think of logic, rationality, any anchor to reality. The snow, the shadows, the whispers, they had a pattern, a memory, a history. Every legend I'd ever heard, every story, every word my grandfather had whispered about roads that feed on fear. Everything clicked into place like a curse fulfilled. "You can't," I whispered. "You can't take me." The voice layered into one unbearable sound, overlapping, mocking. "We take what comes. We keep what is given. You are ours." My heartbeat thrummed like a hammer against my ribcage. I couldn't distinguish sound from thought anymore. Every whisper from the trees, every crunch of snow underfoot, even the faint hum of the car's dead battery, it all merged. The road had become a singular entity, alive, aware, patient. I fell to my knees. The figure didn't move. It didn't need to. The road delivered the horror. Every memory, every fear, every misstep, delivered me to it. The footprints circled closer. Shadows detached from trees and rocks, forming shapes vaguely human, vaguely not. Whispers grew into cries. Laughter cut through the air, high-pitched and brittle. I screamed. My voice was lost immediately in the oppressive silence, absorbed by the snow, by the road, by the presence that surrounded me. Distorted reality. Time broke. Seconds stretched into hours. Minutes collapsed into a heartbeat. The road twisted, bending where asphalt should have ended. Trees leaned inward, enclosing me in a tunnel of black and white, branches scratching at my skin, at my mind. Snow fell upward and downward at the same time, covering and uncovering footprints, hiding and revealing shapes. Then, impossible movement. The trees themselves shifted. Not branches, but trunks. Thick, heavy, turning. The forest breathed with me trapped inside it. My reflection in the car window no longer matched me. Eyes too wide, face pale beyond comprehension, mouth stretched in silent scream. But I knew it wasn't just a reflection. It was a warning, a premonition, my own future unraveling in snow and shadow. The whispers began to speak in clarity, repeating phrases I'd never heard, but understood perfectly. Your fear is ours. Your path ends here. You belong to the road now. I clawed at the car, desperate. Metal scraped under my nails, but it offered no help, no escape. Even my legs betrayed me, dragging slower than thought, heavier than reality allowed. The first attack. Suddenly, a hand, emerging from nothing, clamped onto my shoulder. I twisted, screamed, tried to strike. The snow around me flared white-hot, snowflakes exploding into points of light, dancing before dissolving into shadow. The hand was gone, but I felt it again, on my other arm, across my chest. Each time, the contact burned, not physically, but mentally, searing into memory, dragging something out of me. I realized then, the road didn't just threaten. It consumed. It fed on presence, on fear, on awareness. And I had brought the wrong kind of attention. Curiosity, doubt, disbelief. A whisper came close, right into my ear. You cannot leave what belongs to us. I tried to run. The road shifted underfoot. One step forward, and the asphalt twisted. My direction turned against me. My own sense of motion betrayed me. Every attempt to flee was meaningless. Climax dialogue, sharp and terrifying. A voice called from the shadows, a human one. The caretaker? Another traveler? Impossible to tell. Stop. Don't fight it, he said, breath ragged, words punctuated with fear. I won't let it take me. I shouted. Too late, he hissed. No one leaves these roads. Behind him, figures emerged. Familiar shapes distorted. Neighbors, old acquaintances, strangers I'd never met. Their faces twisted in fear, their eyes wide, frozen mid-scream. They pointed at me. Their voices overlapped. Turn back. Don't move. Belong to the road. I staggered backward. The forest leaned in, branches entwined like skeletal fingers. Shadows consumed the edges of vision. My mind raced, failing to keep pace with reality. The entity manifests. Then it appeared fully. Towering, faceless, eyes like cold stars. Not just in front of me but all around. Every shadow, every curve in the road, every snowdrift coalesced into it. It whispered, screamed, laughed without moving its lips. You cannot escape, it said. Every syllable vibrated through the air. The snow, my bones. You belong to the road now. Fear brought you. Doubt delivered you. Curiosity gave you. I fell, unable to stand, unable to speak. The world distorted further. The sky fractured, glimpses of endless black, streaks of light like frozen screams. Snowflakes hung mid-air, spun in impossible circles, then struck me. Cold but burning, freezing but searing. The whispers from the forest merged into a single chorus. The road remembers. The road keeps. Collapse of safety. I turned toward the car, my last anchor. It had shifted. The hood leaned upward, the windows twisted. The headlights flickered, then went out, plunging everything into darkness. The familiar became alien. The road that I thought I knew, straight, flat, empty, now twisted infinitely. Every attempt to orient myself failed. Time unraveled. Space warped. The caretaker, or whatever semblance of him remained, shrieked in terror as shadows enveloped him. His figure dissolved into black smoke, joining the road, joining the entity. I screamed again. The entity leaned closer. My voice broke against it. I realized it didn't care for screams, for pleas, for denial. It existed beyond all that. It needed only awareness, and now I was fully aware. Final psychological breaking point. I could no longer distinguish between me and the road. Thoughts looped endlessly. Footsteps circled. Shadows whispered. Light bent and fractured. The snow pressed into my ears like hands muffling sound. I understood finally. The road didn't kill. It erased. Memory, identity, sanity. I would not be found. Not missing, not dead, not alive. Only a story. Only a warning. Only a pulse in the dark, a trace in the snow. I fell into the snow, the cold and shadow seeping into my bones. The entity loomed above, faceless, infinite. Its whispers promised eternity in that frozen highway. You are ours now. Forever. The road remembers. And then, the cold, the silence, the nothing, closed in completely. The snow lay heavy on the road, smooth, untouched, as if nothing had happened at all. No footprints. No car tracks. No sign of me, or anyone else. The silence was absolute, but it carried a weight, a memory pressing invisibly into the air, like the road itself remembered. Time felt wrong. Minutes stretched like hours, then collapsed into nothing. I opened my eyes, or thought I did, and found myself sitting at the edge of the forest, far from the highway. The car was gone. The entity, the caretaker, the whispers, all gone. Or had they ever been real? I could feel it in my chest. Absence. A hollow where certainty had lived. The road hadn't taken my life in a traditional sense. It had taken something else. Something essential. My clarity. My confidence. My sense of reality. Eventually, I found a town. Lights flickered weakly in the distance, An abandoned gas station. A diner whose windows reflected nothing but my own hollow gaze. I tried to speak, but my voice felt wrong, a brittle sound that cracked mid-word. People passed by, or thought I saw them pass. Faces indifferent, blurred, shadows more than human. I wanted to explain, to warn, but the words wouldn't form. When I gestured, they ignored me. I realized then that even if I survived, I didn't truly belong anymore. My presence had changed something fundamental. The road had claimed a piece of me that couldn't return. Every familiar object, streets, cars, lamps, looked subtly wrong. Angles didn't match memory, lights glowed too dim, shadows lingered too long. I walked or drifted through the town, but it wasn't a town. Not really. A place that had once been safe now felt like a threshold into something else. The flashbacks came without warning. Scenes of my family, the warmth of past Christmases, now laced with terror. Shadows in the corners of rooms that shouldn't exist, voices whispering through hallways I'd never walked. All were overlaid with the road's memory. Endless snow, faceless figures, footsteps circling, impossibility of escape. I caught glimpses of my reflection. Eyes too wide, skin pale, mouth twisted in a silent scream I felt internally but couldn't show. Each glance reminded me, I had returned, but I had not survived intact. Sometimes, in quiet moments, I hear it. Not in the road, though the memory is always there, but here, in towns, in houses, in cars. A whisper brushing the edge of hearing, saying my name. Shapes in mirrors, half seen, faceless, watching. The road follows. Not as asphalt and snow, but as a force, a presence, a reminder. The memory of it is infinite. The snow, the footprints, the cold, the voice. It seeps into dreams, into sudden awakenings, into the edge of vision. I am not alone ever. Even now I feel it circling, patient, waiting. I try to speak, to tell people, to warn, but no one understands. They see a pale, distant figure, haunted, muttering half-coherent words, descriptions of the road, the shadows, the faces that vanish. They nod politely, humored, unconcerned. I realize that survival isn't just physical. It's social, mental, emotional. On this night, I have survived in body only. Fear has rooted itself in every thought, every decision, every glance. Isolation is permanent. I am alone, even when surrounded. The road took something more valuable than life. It took the possibility of being ordinary again. At times, I walk streets I know. Familiar houses, lights on, people celebrating. And yet, something is always off. Shadows linger where they shouldn't. Snow falls silently indoors. Footsteps circle rooms that are otherwise empty. Mirrors reflect a world slightly skewed. One night, I saw a figure at the end of a street. Tall, featureless, eyes like frozen stars. I froze. It raised an arm, pointed toward me. And I understood. The road has not forgotten. It waits for anyone who follows in my footsteps. Anyone foolish enough to travel empty roads on Christmas night. I ran. Always I run. And yet, the whisper follows. You belong to the road now. We remember. Always. The final lesson is simple. Roads remember. Fear is recorded. Presence is claimed. The world outside looks normal, but the road is patient. It waits. For you. For anyone wandering alone in the cold, empty night. I am here speaking to you now, not because I escaped, but because I was spared just enough to tell the story. Enough to warn. Enough to haunt. But the memory, the claim, the road's possession, those remain. Forever. And sometimes, when the wind whistles just right through the empty streets, when snow falls silently on quiet asphalt, I hear it. Just beyond sight, just beyond reason, and I know it waits. It always waits.